What's up guys, John here. California isn't just a state, it's the world's fourth largest economy, bigger than countries like France, the UK, and India used to be.
California is now ranked the fourth largest economy in the world, surpassing Japan.
Economic experts say California has a major global presence and could eventually surpass Germany, but the state must first speed up processes for growth.
But right now, California is bleeding people, businesses, and billions of dollars. And here's the part that almost no one outside of California knows. Laws against landlords have gotten so extreme that you can get sued and lose in court if you have a squatter go into your home that you just purchased and you turn off the utilities on them. This is one of many laws that have pushed investors out of California and into places like Texas and Florida. And the state of California is now bleeding out tens of billions of dollars in a deficit due to this capital flight.
Governor Gavin Newsom says the state is staring down a $12 billion budget deficit.
This is a story of how America's most powerful state has been led to ruins. Even Jason Oppenheim of Selling Sunset, one of the most prominent brokers in LA, has said, I myself would not buy a home in Los Angeles right now. So what's happening? Are we entering a stage collapse of California's economy? For decades, California was more than just a state. It was a dream, a global economy inside of a domestic one. Tech giants in Silicon Valley, Hollywood, you had billions of dollars worth of goods moving every day in the ports throughout Los Angeles. Everybody wanted a piece of California. If you were an entrepreneur, you're a business person, you had big goals, you weren't thinking about going anywhere else except for California. That's what it used to represent. But then came 2020 and something huge happened, and this big shift has been for the worse for California. The crisis in 2020 ushered in major new laws impacting taxes, landlord-tenant rights, business protocols. Everything changed, and the story was that this had to happen for the greater good. This is going to help combat inequality. These radical new policies were sold as protections, and the 40 million people inside of California, many of them suffered in a very big way. Suddenly, the entrepreneurs, business owners, and investors that contributed to the growth of California now felt that they had shackles to their hands and feet. And one by one, many business owners, high net worth individuals, and investors looked for an opportunity to escape California. And they took their jobs, they took their money, and they took their entrepreneurial spirit with them. Tesla's HQ moves to Texas.
Tesla is moving its headquarters from Silicon Valley to Austin, Texas, where it is building a massive car and battery complex.
Billionaires now head for Miami. By the time the restrictions eased, the damage was already clear. Capital was fleeing, entrepreneurs were relocating, and high-income earners, they were taking their tax revenue with them.
We've told you about people getting fed up and moving to Arizona, Nevada, Texas, or Florida. But a new study says rich people are the ones who are bouncing, and as they go, concerns that California's golden geese are taking flight.
California didn't just lose people, it lost something much greater than that. It lost trust. Many investors and entrepreneurs aren't so scared of what's happening now. They're scared of what's going to happen tomorrow, because every month, things seem like they're getting weirder, stranger, and more draconian than they were just months ago. Now here's where the story gets very interesting. California's budget. Governor Gavin Newsom went on camera stating that we have a deficit of about $12 billion.
We also have breaking news from the state capitol. Governor Gavin Newsom released his revised budget plan for the year. He now says California is staring down a $12 billion budget deficit.
That number alone is huge, bigger than the entire state budget of some smaller states. But here's what most people don't know. Independent analysts dug into the numbers even further and found that the budget deficit was closer to $20 billion. Why the difference? The state used accounting tricks, shifting money out of reserves and moving expenses around to make the gap look smaller than it actually is. Budget math versus reality. And this isn't just a one-time hole. California is stuck with something called a structural deficit. That means that every year, California is promising to spend more money than it actually brings in. That's like maxing out your credit card month after month, where you have 100% utilization, hoping that next month you're somehow going to have more income. And the big problem, the biggest donors to tax revenue are the business owners, the high net worth individuals, the real estate investors, the entrepreneurs, people inside of the movie industry. They're one by one getting pushed out of the state. So over the last 5 years, every quarter moving forward, there were less high income earners and people that were able to help with California's problems there to support it. And so as this continues to grow, what will the future look like? So the government, for now, they have two options. Cut funding for things like healthcare, education, and housing, or raise taxes even higher for the people that are still there. Either way, it's a recipe for reduced living standards and more people likely leaving the state. Between 2020 and 2024, 1.4 million people in California left. Think about how big of a number that is, considering that the population of California is 40 million. And many of these people weren't just low-income earners, people that were barely getting by. They're people that had options. Most of them were high-income earners, and they had employees, they created a lot of value, and they had the capital to get up, move, and buy a home in another state. The IRS, for example, they came out in 2022, said California lost $16 billion worth of tax revenue from high-income earners earning over $100,000 a year. That is money that the state will never see again. And when you add that money up year after year, as those businesses grow that left California, it's like negative compound interest. We're talking about many tens of billions of dollars that just left California with no plans of going back. Think about what this means. Fewer people paying into the system, where the cost to keep the system alive grows by the day. And nowhere is that more visible than California's homelessness crisis. I went to San Francisco last year to see it myself. This was once the crown jewel of the Bay Area. Clean streets, booming businesses, cafes, restaurants. It was a great place to spend time. What I found instead? Boarded up storefronts, graffiti everywhere. I witnessed someone breaking into one of the cabinets at a CVS, stealing. And I asked the person at the front desk who was watching, I said, how often does this happen? He said, maybe once on a good day, 4, 5, 6 times on a bad day. That's every single day. Cops do nothing. Many of those businesses, they were surviving for decades, but now with the new policies, many of them are closed up. And many people that could afford to leave, they already did. Los Angeles alone has more than 75,000 people living without a house, without a condo, an apartment. They're completely homeless. 75,000 people. Entire neighborhoods have turned into encampments, while the state claims they're spending billions of dollars every single year trying to manage it. But here's the contradiction. While lawmakers say that they are passing laws to protect tenants, landlords, investors, and property managers say it's becoming nearly impossible to own apartment buildings in the city. This type of outlook from the real estate community is going to continue to push away a lot of developers from adding new housing stock. This, in turn, will push housing prices up, and the crisis will likely only grow. So while the middle class flees, the crisis on the streets grows even larger. In other words, California is losing the very people it needs to pay for its safety net, while the need for a safety net is exploding. And this is not just California. Across the country, credit card debt has topped $1.2 trillion.
Credit card debt is at the all-time high. It's never been like this.
Americans' total credit card balances hit a new all-time high of over $1.2 trillion.
Interest rates on that credit card debt are the highest they've been in decades.
Some of Americans' biggest retailers has soared. You see it right there, to an all-time high of more than 30% this year. Interest rates for the typical bank credit card is about 21%.
Meaning millions upon millions of Americans are stuck paying more just to stand still. Did you know you can earn Bitcoin without ever buying it? You can literally get it by swiping your credit card. Today's video is sponsored by Gemini, and they've made this possible with a Bitcoin credit card. The Bitcoin credit card offers instant Bitcoin rewards on every purchase with no annual fee. Check out the description with more info on rates and fees. You can get up to 4% back on gas, transit, and rideshare. 3% on dining, 2% on groceries, and 1% on everything else. And here's why earning something that holds value matters. Right now, credit card debt in the US just hit $1.21 trillion, and the average APR for those carrying a balance is 22%. That's money going straight to interest instead of back in your pocket. With the Bitcoin credit card, every purchase has the potential to work for you instead of against you. It's simple. Use it like any other credit card. But instead of points or miles, you get crypto deposited directly into your Gemini account. Bitcoin rewards earned and held for 1 year on the Gemini Credit Card have appreciated 277% on average. You are investing as you spend, truly a no-brainer. To sign up for the card, head to Gemini.com/John and get $200 in Bitcoin when you spend $3,000 in the first 90 days. Click the link in the description or go to Gemini.com/John to apply and start earning instantly. So while states rack up their own deficits, regular people are stuck dealing with the problem at home. That's why I'm glad today's video is sponsored by Gemini. If you think it's bad losing tax dollars and businesses, wait until you hear what's happening to property owners. In California, even if someone takes over your property without an executed lease, even without proof that they belong there, you're not able to kick them out or evict them. You can't change the locks, you cannot remove their things, and you have to continue to pay for their utilities. All of these things are built to protect the squatter, not the property owner. There was a case about a week ago of a homeowner buying a home in Oakland, and they found out that there's a squatter inside the property. They turned off the utilities, they got sued and lost. They not only have to pay the property taxes and the insurance, they have to pay for the utilities for the tenant, or in this case, the squatter. And then months later, the squatter sued them and won. That's right. You buy a house, call it $1 million, you put $200,000 down, you finance $800,000, spending about $6,000 a month. You're paying the taxes, paying the insurance. Someone lives there for free, and then you stop paying the utilities, then you get sued and lose, and the government in California stands with the tenant and penalizes the property owner. And it doesn't stop there. In Los Angeles, for example, you're not legally allowed to screen your tenants for criminal history. That means if you know a prospective tenant has committed violent crimes, burglary, carjacking, whatever it may be, you're not able to say no based on that history. If you do, you're gonna risk a major lawsuit, and the state of California will, of course, back the tenant. Imagine working for a decade or more to save the money to buy a property, and then you want to be very careful on who moves into that property, and you turn someone down based on their criminal history, you get sued for discrimination, and you have to write a big check because of it. To me, that doesn't seem like property ownership inside of California. Seems like you're doing a bad deal with the government there that's going to do everything that they can do to seize that property and your money from you. California's laws make this all possible because so-called self-help eviction is illegal there. Landlords have to go through the courts, file an unlawful detainer case, wait 3, 6, 9, or 12 months to win the case, hopefully, and then at that point the sheriff will come out to evict and remove the tenant. But in the meantime, you're paying the mortgage or mortgages on the property, your insurance, the utilities, the upkeep, the repairs. You have to have the money to strike that check on the first of the month throughout the entire process, as well as pay for your legal fees. Compare that to Florida. In 2024, they passed a law to remove squatters immediately with criminal penalties and fraudulent claims. One state empowers the owner, the other empowers the squatter. Take Ohio, for example. If you want to evict a tenant, you're looking at about $450 with legal fees if you hire an attorney. If it goes to court, it's about $900, maybe $950. And on a worst case scenario, it's about 7 weeks to evict a tenant, but on average, it's about 3 to 5 weeks. So if you're an investor in California, it's becoming terrifying, because why would anyone put that amount of money that you would need to buy an apartment building or a house inside of a state where the state is not there to protect you and your interest? This isn't just a conversation about California being horrible to landlords or investors and property owners. It's a conversation about the direction that California is going in. It's pushing away everyone that's there to help it. So this isn't just bad for landlords, it's bad for the 40 million people that live in California. They need more housing supply. They need to incentivize investors, developers, and the entrepreneurial spirit of California. And during 2020 and 2021 and 2022, when everyone was leaving, it wasn't just families. Some of the biggest companies in America packed up and left and brought tens of thousands of employees with them. Tesla, for example, moved their headquarters to Texas.
Elon Musk announcing in a tweet here that he will be moving the SpaceX headquarters from Hawthorne, California to Starbase, Texas.
Oracle, same thing. Charles Schwab, same thing. Even longtime California supporters like Chevron and McKesson packed up and left. Every time a big company leaves, they take their high-paying jobs and opportunities with them. And here's where it really hits home. This isn't about politics, like left or right. Even people deeply tied to California are saying that it's simply just not worth it. Jason Oppenheim from Selling Sunset, whose entire business is based on selling homes, recently admitted on a podcast that, yeah, probably shouldn't buy a house in LA. Not because the houses aren't beautiful, it's because the government makes the investment too risky. When top real estate agents in LA say that it's too risky to own a home there, you know the system is pretty flawed. So the money flows out. Entrepreneurs, they head to Miami. Tech companies flock to Austin. Investors move to state where property rights are protected. And California, once the engine for innovation, is now stuck asking, who's here to pay the bills? Here's the contradiction at the heart of California. The state spends more than almost anywhere else in America, but the more they spend, the bigger the problems they need to solve. Billions and billions spent to combat the homelessness crisis, yet just in LA alone, you have 75,000 people without shelter. Billions in education funding, but families are leaving public schools in droves. Higher taxes on the wealthy, yet the wealthy are the ones moving out. And when landlords say that they've had enough, when it's too risky to rent out a property, what's next? Housing supply will shrink even more, and more people falling behind means an excuse for more government overreach and more homelessness. This is a vicious cycle. Services cost more because the need is growing, but the people who used to once pay for that service are leaving. The middle class feels squeezed. The poor fall further behind, and the rich simply pack up and move. California has tried to build a system that protects everyone, but ends up working for no one. Meanwhile, states like Florida and Texas, they're taking the opposite approach. In Florida, new laws let police forcefully remove squatters from property. Texas offers lower taxes and overall just looser regulations. And it's no coincidence that Tesla, Oracle, and Schwab all set up shop there. Investors, they see safety. Businesses see opportunity. Families, they see affordability. And California, it's stuck in reverse. The truth is, California, it's still massive. It's still the fourth largest economy in the world. But if the people who create the jobs, pay the taxes, and build out the opportunity for everyone else continue to leave, how long can this all last? This isn't just about hating on California. I love California. I just don't like the direction in which it's going. And if it continues to go this direction, how long can the Golden State remain golden? Or whether the crown is being shipped off to another place. So let me ask you, if you had $1 million, would you park it in California? Or would you take it somewhere a little bit more safe? Maybe the Rust Belt, maybe Texas, maybe Florida, somewhere with property rights. California once defined the American dream. The question is now, is whether it's turning into the American warning. What are your thoughts about this entire situation? Where do you see California going in the next 5 years? For more information on today's sponsor, you can click the link in the description just below this video. Catch you next video.